I have my magazine with a bunch of text in there. You can also have a, a magazine that has pictures, but really we're looking for just the text. I've got a pair of scissors. Oop, if I can learn how to handle them properly. Scissors, a glue stick. I've got two leaves that I brought in from outside that are fresh. Some Sharpie markers. And then I asked just for you to bring in anything that that gives you, some color. So I've got some colored pencils here. I have a soft pastel set that I'll play with, and I have some markers. So I'm kind of going for a mixed media thing today. So one of the reasons why I like to go out and collect like real objects is because when I paint them, I want to be able to understand their texture and their feel, and whether or not they're shiny or dull. So sometimes when you're working from an actual object, it helps to see things just a little bit better. Your perspective is going to change. So when you have your leaves in front of you, I want you to just take some really good looks at how your leaves are created. So you've got your veins of your leaves, and then you've got sort of like these little offshoots that help form to bridge the leaf cells together. And if you look at it on the back, you see you've got a long stem that carries all the way up to the top of the leaf, but your leaves may be different. Mine just has 3 points. But really taking a good look at how this thing is structured. It's going to come in handy for what we do today. So, and it helps to kind of feel it, and kind of, since this is an organic sort of a thing, to be able to just kind of feel it and feel it. Is it smushy? Is it crispy? That sort of thing. Try to give this leaf a vocabulary. I'll give you just a minute to really inspect your leaves. You see so many of them on the ground, but we never really just select one or two to really just look at them. Then you think about, well, this kind of complexity is on each and every leaf, right? And there's so many of them on the ground, and just thinking about how complex these systems are. All right, well, let's go ahead. We'll set these aside for now. And what I want you to do is I want you to use your one of your sheets of paper, and we're just going to do a quick warm up. So you can take a marker or a pencil, whatever you like, whatever is most comfortable for you. I'm going to take this pink Sharpie, and we're going to just do a warm up because we're going to need both. We need both of the hemispheres of our brains working today. So we're going to work with our dominant hand first, and then our non-dominant hand. And for about 30 seconds each hand, we're going to just make some marks. So I'm just going to take my dominant hand, and I'm just going to make marks. We're going to do that for about 30 seconds. And you could fill the whole page if you want. Doesn't matter. Do what you feel. And whatever lines you make is coming from you, whether or not they're sharp or spiky or soft or round. Just spend about 30 seconds making circles or lines. They can connect or they could be disconnected. It's all up to you. Try to use your whole arm. So try to work your shoulder. Except for you, Becky, if you're on this call. Becky hurt her shoulder, so I'm calling her out. You don't have to use your whole arm. Just use what you can. Okay, and in 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, take a second, switch hands, and you're going to do the same thing for 30 seconds. You might flow might be a little bit different, but that's okay because you hardly ever use your dominant hand or your non-dominant hand for your most essential functions. You always sort of lean on your dominant hand. But this is a good way to strengthen your non-dominant hand and also the other half of the brain. Because interestingly enough, the one side of your body is sort of directed by the other half of your brain on the other side. So doing this as a warm-up not only opens up your hands to work and even makes your hands even steadier. It kind of gets your brain in to active, getting it ready for the next thing. Just about 5 more seconds here. We're going to flip it over. And we're just going to do it again for about 20 seconds this time. So switch over to your dominant hand and try to do some different lines this time. So kind of opposite to what you were doing before. This time you're using intention to make your lines. You're thinking about where those lines are going to go next. Okay, and then I want you to switch and do the same thing. Try to be intentional with your line making, where you want your lines to go. Try to fill the page. Okay. So that's our warm up for today. I want you to set this page aside and I want you to look at it later in the day. And I want you to kind of look at the differences between your first drawings and your second half. And just make some observations. I don't know what you're going to come up with, but I'm sure some things are going to come to mind when you look at this after you spend a day doing other things. Okay, so today's task, I'm going to move my board down here, is we're going to do sort of a collage using these leaves. And we're going to take some text. If you have some magazine or newspaper with you, you're going to take some text and we're just going to first collage it down. So really what you're looking for is papers that have enough text to cover your board. So that's the first thing you want. So this is a really good example. So I'm going to pull that out. Pretty fat, and it's like this one too. This one has text as well. Maybe one more. See if I can find one more. I'm going to set my magazine aside. There we go. Okay, so I've got some of this text and I'm going to just take my scissors and I'm going to cut I'm not adding pictures at this point, just the words. And we're not looking at the meaning of these words just yet. We're just looking at finding text to cover the page. And with any collage, you can crisscross them. You can layer them however you want. To start, we're not going to use pictures. So I'm just cutting out these different paragraphs. If your pages are on different colors, if your words are on different colors, that's only going to add interest. So don't worry about that. And even if you have some words that are larger, that's going to add interest too. So if you see any words that are a different size and you want to include them, that'd be good too. Yeah, now the point is, again, you're not reading these words. You're just looking for pages that you can glue down. Now you can glue these down in any way you want. You can glue them upside down, you can glue them right side up, however you want. But the point is to cover the whole paper. So this whole board. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of pre-plan out where I want my text to go. And I'm having them go in different directions. But I just want to make sure that my paper is covered. Yeah, I'll be able to easily do that. So I'm not too worried. Excuse me. And then I'm going to glue it down. So I've got a glue stick here. Just gonna put that text right up against the board. So I'm gonna just flip off that little bit. Make sure it's really well tacked down. Cutting kind of close to my text, so I don't really have white space. That's okay. However you want to do it, since it's your work of art. So as you can see, I'm just kind of like making sure I see text, but I'm not covering really over it. But I am putting them in different directions. And again, just making sure everything's well glued down. It's a little wrinkly, that's okay. That's better. Even if you need to do curvy cuts, that's cool too. So you could see your words. Yeah. I need a nice thin thin text. Too much, darn it. Let's see what if I did this. Yeah, that's gonna work. Yeah. There's gonna be a little bit of overlap, but it's my picture, so it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna cut this little guy. I'll just do it like that. Okay. So we've got our board. So our surface is pretty much done. Oh, I didn't glue down that part. So our substrate is full of text. And we're ready for the next step. Just want to make sure everything's flat. Just a little bit more text. I want to fill that a little bit. Okay. So you should have your board and it's filled with text. Now, what I want you to do next is I want you to take your leaf and I want you to cut it in half. Cut it along that vein. And what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 leaves, and you're going to do the same thing with each. And you're going to space them out in a way so that you can recreate the other side with some color. And we're going to glue that down too. So we're going to give ourselves some room. And we're going to just glue that down. So with my first one, just to show you, I'm going to kind of recreate my leaf, the other half of it. And this is forcing me to, again, work with the other half of my brain to recreate this leaf. And you're going to do that for all 4 sides. Making sure you leave room for your drawing of the other half of the leaf. Might have to trim off the stem. Looks bad. Okay. It forces you to imagine what this other half is like. Oops. My dog is snoring, if you can hear behind me. She really likes to hang out with me while I'm doing this stuff. But then she falls asleep and makes a lot of noise. There's 3. 3's nice. 3 is a much more like aesthetically pleasing number than 4, but I think I'm going to do the 4th one kind of upside down. So because then we can connect them. Yeah, recreating the other half of the leaf is the hardest part because you have to really look at what's going on and then do the opposite. Okay. So now comes the fun part. What I want you to do, and you could do this with any color. Outside of these leaves, so these outlines, you're going to be working with your text. And what I want you to do is just remove the words that are unnecessary, whatever is unnecessary for you. Okay, so look through, and if a word resonates, keep it there. But if a word does not, like here it says love of the lakes, I'm going to remove love, I'm sorry, of the and lakes, because I love the word love and I love the word lakes. So I'm going to keep going and just remove words that I don't think make sense to me. And I'm going to do this for all of my text. And you might have to flip it around, but that's kind of the purpose, is looking for stuff. And again, just words that you feel are unnecessary or that don't resonate with you. And this is actually now forcing you to process words that kind of are relevant to your life and just getting rid of the ones that are not essential. So you'll get faster at this once you keep going. Oh, I just went into my leaf. Try to stay out of your leaf. I'm in that, darn, I'm in the leaf again. I gotta stop that. So as you're going, you're starting to realize you're making a composition, which is kind of interesting, just by crossing out words. And then here, I think if you're along with me, you might be getting into a zone. Okay, we're getting there. It looks like I just have a couple more to do. And if you're like me, you're surprised at some of the words you're crossing out and some of the words you're keeping. Okay. So this is my somewhat completed work here. And now I got to add color. So the way I'm going to do that, I have a couple things. I've got some soft pastels. I've got some colored pencils. And I've got some markers that are kind of in the colors of my my leaves. And I just want to probably start with my, let me just see how the pastels work. Start. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with my markers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to fill in some of this color of my other half of my leaves. And here's where there's no rules anymore, okay? So you can go rogue. And fill in the color where you think you need it. I'm going to start with putting in my reds, and then I'll add in some additional color. And then I'm going to add some of, I'm going to try and, to me, I kind of want to make it look like the other side, but it doesn't have to be. And then I want to add some other color, just kind of warm up what's around. So I'm taking my chalk, or maybe the chalk's not going to work because it's a little waxy. Oh, but it works in the, oh, works in the marker, quite nice. So, all the things you learn when you play. It's nice. There's something about the marker on the slick magazine paper that allows the pastel to kind of catch. That's kind of fun. All right, and that means I need to do a marker on the other side here. I'm looking for like a warm color. Or any color will work. Whatever you feel. That's what I here. Two. This is good. I'm just going to add a little bit of the border. But I have to glue that down a little bit more too. That side too. But at this point, you can take any kind of medium, really. Even charcoal. Charcoal would be nice too. And I'm just gonna some stuff around. The leaves. Now you also might want to look around and see if there's any words you definitely want to keep and not cover with color. If anything left white, it's going to be nice and bright. And the way I do with this is I'm going to find the words that I find are most important to this now composition. And I'm going to just circle them so I know where to find them, where to work around. So I'm finding words like whisper and delicate and peak season, love, story, gardens, spring clean, country, celebrate, extravaganza, history, just some words that I want to bring attention to. Flavors. I'm just going to continue to fill in amongst these lines. If you have really dark areas, you can go ahead and just fill those in completely. But try to hold on to the words that are important to you. You try to leave those white. And as you go, you're going to find that some words are really more prominent and some just kind of fade back. Like I had left words like supermarket and fruit, but those aren't as essential to me now as like brightly colored or love or rabbits. So I'm just kind of adding a half color, kind of fill it in. And you know, there's nothing going on when you have a lot of lines, so you can just color over those too. But leaving some areas of interest, I'm going to go over with a light color, yellow. Just kind of blend some of this stuff together and bring a little bit more attention to these white areas. And what you should be left with is some words that have the most meaning to you. and a reminder of how beautiful things are when there's so many of them, so many beautiful things, right? But you have to really look at them. When you go out and you just pick up leaves. When you inspect them, then you see all the beauty within them. There's beauty everywhere. Yesterday when it was raining, oh, I had to bring the camera outside. It was so nice because for some reason, the way that the rain fell on the tall grass, it just beat it up in like a million little microdots of water. And it was so pretty. I had to shoot pictures of that. Sometimes it's just fun to just pay attention, slow down and pay attention. I think this is about as done as I'm going to make it for today. I'm going to just go over it with a little bit more outline my leaves a little bit more. But I'm curious to see how everybody else did, since we have a couple minutes left. Lika, did you participate in this one?
No, but your calming voice has helped me, just to be honest.
Good. Yeah, happy Monday. If anybody wants to show their work. This is one of those, you're making something, but a lot of times it's the process where you learn the most, right? This is about taking some time and appreciating the small things. I don't know if we've talked about in this group letting go of something. We have a program on Sundays called the Art Swap, and the Art Swap's great because you're making something to let it go. Like the intention is to let it go and to give it to someone else. So I always encourage my participants to, just keep making, right? Don't care if it's going to be perfect or not. Because if it's not the way you like it, there's so many people with so many tastes on this planet. Someone is going to appreciate your work. One of the things I like to do, and I did a lot of this when during the pandemic, we had all that time, is I was painting rocks. I just painted a bunch of rocks and then just took them out into the neighborhood and dropped them off. It was amazing how, like, just on Nextdoor and stuff, how many people like found the rocks and appreciated them. And I didn't do anything to them special. I just really just painted dots on the rocks, but I needed something to do to distract my mind. So if you're not making, if you're, just keep making. And then if you
Jen, that's like a great idea for a program. Like, seriously, like coming up creative ways to do rocks, and even what you did, like taking it into the neighborhood and beautifying. I think that's excellent.
Yeah, just give it, but it's, to me, it started out to be more about me, That's the thing, is that like it was more about me getting some energy out. And then I was finding, I didn't think anything was going to happen. I was just bored and making rocks. But it wasn't until people started noticing in the neighborhood, and when I was walking the dog, they're like, I found this rock, and I was like, oh, I made that. So,
That's really cool, though. I love that. That is really, really cool.
Yeah. So it's just, and again, it's making to give it away intentionally, So, but what I would recommend about this piece is, let it sit for a day and then revisit the words you circled and see if there's anything that brings connection or resonance to what you did today. And with that, I will say, have a good week.
Yes, thank you, Jen, and you all have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Lika. Bye, everyone.